What's in this for you? What? You're not already properly trained on piano, but you also wish you could make some music that sounds like you got some skills on the keyboard? Perhaps you don't really have the time or energy to take a lesson or even the desire. You just want to make your own thing and be creative. Well, this video is for you, especially if you own Ableton Push and a modern MPC. So if you want to enhance your creative potential with your electronic equipment, get into this. Ready, set, let's go. Hello, friends. I'm Sky Deep, a music producer, multimedia artist, and lover of community, and I'm just trying to make it, y'all. So if you can appreciate a DIY artist, then you can show me some love with a like or by connecting with me on Discord or checking out my links in the description below. So here's what I'll cover in this video. A little bit of a musical backstory about me, not super long, the how and why I came to this approach, and a demonstration of the technique. Also an explanation of my method and how I approach it between Ableton and the MPC. So this video is more about the artistic approach. So if you didn't see it yet, I suggest you watch the video before this one where I made Ableton the boss of my setup for step-by-step instructions on how you can technically do what I show you in this video. Well, primarily I'm a guitar player, and I'm not classically trained, though I did go through a series of private lessons that I kind of put myself through my own guitar boot camp so that I could learn a little bit more about theory and have more freedom when I'm writing songs. But I'm not classically trained. But I do come from a family of musicians, and so there is a little bit of this like natural thing that drifted over to me when it comes to playing with instruments. You know, when I did learn the bit of theory that I learned, I was very interested in jazz and modes. Like, you know, everybody kept talking about modes in music, and I was like, what is that? And so I just decided to hunker down and really try to wrap my head around it and get some ear training. I'm definitely no genius on music theory, but the bit that I have learned has really helped. So I'll try to like share some basic tips with you on how I use that to enhance my compositions. But what I was missing was the ability to express myself and play cinematic type things. You might say, but Sky, what about scales mode on Push or on the MPC? Or what about chords and progressions on the MPC? Well, yeah, those things exist and they're very helpful, but the scales on the Push get limited unless you really learn to play it like a piano. And so chord mode on the MPC doesn't always sound so natural because you have to do, you know, it hits all the notes at the same time. And then you have to do all these other techniques to kind of humanize it. To randomize the start, stop points of the notes or the length of the notes. That's cool. I don't mind doing that. But there's still some times where I just want to have a more human vibe when I play it direct. And if I can't play piano, that's kind of tough. Yeah, so I mean, that's just, you know, I'm just roughly jamming when I did what I just did there. But as a non-piano player, this is my way, and this really helps me. So first, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here and what I've done. First off, again, go back and see that first video where I make Ableton the boss, and then you'll know how I have my hardware connected. And you'll also know how I have Ableton configured. But I'll try to just quickly show you some basics here. I know I have a lot of tracks on the screen, so just to clear, I'm using the BX Oberhausen plugin. It's a VST. I really just love all of the sounds that are in this plugin. And yeah, I'm using two different instances of this. So on one hand, this sound here, that is the pulsar. I'm playing that from all my MIDI inputs, which means that anything that I play, like right, I'm like, even on Syntakt, I'm playing some notes. And on push, I'm also playing the note, but with push, as you notice, when I played the push, I have two different audio lines coming in on Ableton, here and here. And that's because I have set the input of this channel to only receive from Ableton push, but this one receives from all ends, so it also receives from Ableton push. And on this Oberhausen plugin, I actually have one of their presets, but I think it's pretty, evolving long distance call. It has a little bit faster attack than the other synth, which is kind of more pad-like. So if I were to mute that channel, this is what we're hearing from the evolving preset. And then I can bring this other one in and you'll hear them both. So that's just so I can have a little bit more interest when I'm playing the sort of upper regional, melodies and accentuations and embellishments and things like that. But when I play the chords here on MPC, you just kind of hear the basics. You don't hear all this twiddling and tweedling, right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. So first of all, on the MPC Live, I have on this track set it in the MIDI setting, which means that I can send or receive via MIDI. I'm not using any sounds from inside the MPC on this particular track. And what I've done is I've set which port I'm receiving or sending MIDI info through, actually. So I'm sending through MPC 1 and receiving on MPC A. Most importantly, I have pad perform engaged. And the pad perform, there's a few options that I have here. And this is where I kind of get into the music theory. So the options are that I can work with notes or chromatic notes. I can work with chords or chromatic chords. And I can also work with progressions. And then they have a custom thing as well. So in this case, I'm in the key of A, and I just chose for simplicity to work with the natural minor scale, the basic minor scale. And there's some other options here, like, as far as like what types of intervals you want to work with. So I double tap that. And I can just do a basic 1-3-5 or 1-4-5. In this case, I'm using a 1-3-5-7. I'm not going to do a deep dive on music theory here, but I just want to let you know how I think when I'm trying to make choices. And so a lot of people, when they talk about music theory, they say the major scale or a major chord is happy sound. Or if you want a sadder sound, then you go with or a melancholy sound, you go with a minor chord or something like that. So a lot of times I get requests for an emotional sound. And a lot of times that emotional sound can take us to a natural chord or progression of some sort. Now, that's oversimplifying. I mean, there's so many options out there. That's why I mentioned before that I had an interest in modes, because when you look at on either device, the option for scales, you also have listed in your choices, and you can see here even on push, that there's choices that lead us into things like Lydian or Phrygian or Locrian, or Dorian, all these different things, different kinds of modes and different types of scales. So anyway, my point being, this is where I try to play with things a bit to get more creative. So, but at the very basics, if I choose a minor set of chords that I can play, then over here, if I want to play it safe, then in this case, I have selected the key of A on the push scales mode, and I chose to go with the minor pentatonic scale. I could have gone with something totally else if I want to start playing around with the modes to see if there's something that I like how it sounds here. So that's the basics there. Now it's all about experimentation. So in this case, that's why, like, if I didn't add in this second synth sound that has a little bit more attack and more interest to it, then things could possibly sound a little flat. When I re-engage the other layer, we just have some more cool things going on, which is great when trying to build tension or drama in a song. Okay, so I'm gonna close out with a little something. So I could vibe out like that for hours, just trying to feel it out. And then from there, you can add some stuff and juice it up how you want. I feel like I found something special using this method. My goal was to make drama from how I play organically. And in my line of work, I'm often customizing the music to the desires of other creatives, like directors for film or theater. So this nudges me into genres that are different than usual for me. And since I'm not trained to play every instrument, I sometimes have to do samples and chopping, and sometimes it just doesn't cut it. I literally need to write and perform the music. So this was a continuation of my Boss series, where Ableton takes the lead, and there's more videos on the way. So stay tuned for other parts of the series where MPC or Syntact will be the boss of everything. But I hope you enjoyed exploring a different way to do your creative thing with me. And before we wrap up, this video is not sponsored. I'm really doing it with my own time and money. So if you wish to show me some love on this channel, you can do it however you want, but I've also put some options and info in the description below. Whatever you choose, I'm sure it'll really help. Listen, I've got lots more exciting content coming, so don't forget you can join me on Discord too. You know all the things, so you can find me on the interwebs, and we can share ideas and exchange feedback. But listen, thanks for joining, and I'll see you on the next round.